Hi, in this video I'm going to explain you the land register in Germany, so-called Grundbuch, all chapters, and walk you through an example of my own properties. Hi, my name is Ajay. I'm going to show you in this channel on how to buy a house here in Germany. Now the Grundbuch, in English the land register, is single point of truth for property-related matters in Germany. Golden record is at the courthouse, and you'll only get copies out of the current land register, which is lying at the courthouse. It's single point of truth for all property-related matters, and only owners, as well as people with justified interest, German berechtigtes Interesse, are allowed to check and have a copy of the land register. It consists of 5 parts. First is the cover page, then you have the inventory page, and 3 chapters, chapter 1, 2, and 3. Chapter 1 consists of the owner information. Chapter 2 consists of rights and restrictions on the property. And chapter number 3 are land charges and collaterals. Now I'll walk you through with an example to one of my land registers of properties I own, so that I can pinpoint and show you on what is written where and which kind of meaning it has and what kind of information you can deduct out of that. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel so you're updated once I upload a new video.
Alright, let's have a closer look at the land register. First page is the cover page. You'll have a couple of information here. You'll have the court, the jurisdiction in which the property falls under. You'll have the part of the city which the land register falls under, and you'll also have a unique identifier mentioned here. I just put in as 5,000 something, just redacted some information here for data protection reasons, but this is going to be the unique identifier. You're going to find this piece of information on all pages of the land register. You'll also find the latest change which was made to the land register on the bottom of each page, as well as when was this printout taken. This information you'll find on every page, as well as the jurisdiction, as well as the unique identifier, so that if you're getting a land register, you can already check whether somebody slipped some land register of somebody else in, but this is a very good option to check on these 5 pieces of information on is this the same land register we are speaking of or not. Now, as a landowner, as a property owner, you'll find a couple of useful information here on this inventory page. First couple of things is what kind of share of the plot do I really own? In this case, I own an apartment, and the owner of this particular apartment owns 1,022 shares out of 10,000 of a plot which is sized 1,206 square meters. Now, where is this particular plot? This particular plot, this here is the jurisdiction, and the plot number is 22235. So if you were to look it up, what is the plot 22235 in this particular jurisdiction in Leverkusen, then you would find exactly this address here. Sorry, this address, and on top of this address or this plot would have a property, including some free plot without a property, and this is for residential purposes. Now, what do I really own? Apart from parts of the plot, I own an apartment in the first story on the left-hand side, which is called number 5 in this case, right? So if you have a look at the initial architectural drawings, you'll need to have so-called Aufteilungsplan mentioned here, and within that plan you'll have all apartments numbered through from 1 to X, and I own number 5 in this. Along with this apartment, I also own part of the basement there, right? Kellerraum, so you can keep your stuff there. Now, what we also see is that here we have a another notarized copy of a declaration of partition dated 7th October 1999. This is the notary as well as the notarized copy. All notarizations need to be numbered and unique in nature. And to find out is this declaration of partition really belonging to this land register and to that particular property, we'll be checking on the declaration of partition whether this number is matching or not. Now, within that declaration of partition, we'll find useful information on what kind of rights do others have, what do I really own in the building, do I own the windows, or is that part of the homeowners association? All these things will be mentioned in the declaration of partition. We're not concerned about that right now. It's just that we can find out if it's one declaration of partition or if there may be addendums to that. Those addendums would also be mentioned here in this particular document. Only if you have all those pieces of documents together will you really know what you're buying, what your rights and duties are as a property owner, as a landlord here in Germany. Let's have a look at, all right, second page here is empty just because they didn't have something to fill here. You can see the numbers here, so page 2, page 3. But let's go to the chapter number 1, right? Chapter number 1, you'll find information on owners. Now, we can see here that this chapter number 1 is 2 pages long, and this is me. I'm the current owner of the property along with my wife, but we had 4 predecessors in this apartment, right? So 4 corporations, people, landlords were there before us. Now, you'll have the names. If it's a corporation, you'll have the name of the corporation, and you'll also, here for example, this was a corporation registered in Cologne with, again, a unique identifier of that particular company. Now, if it's a person who bought the apartment or property, they also have first and last name, as well as when they were born, so that notaries can check whether that particular person is able to sell, or does he really own the property, yes or no. Right? Everything you see on the left hand side here, which is underlined, this means that it has been deleted. But just to ensure that everything is visible, even though it is deleted and it's not true anymore, and to have a look at history of the property, we have only underline it, or we'll also see a crossing out later on in this particular land register, but it's still, everything is still visible, right? Now, you can also see a couple of changes here. For example, the name of this owner, so the owner under number 3 has undergone a name change. Name der Eigentümerin nunmehr, which means there was some kind of name change. It initially was this, now it is this, and has been put into effect on 10th of September in 2015. Right. So also these little things are mentioned here in order to ensure that everyone knows who has a look at this, that this really is the person who owns the property. Let's have a closer look at what I own. We are 5th owner of this apartment. You already see 5.1, 5.2, which means there is more than one owner. In this case, myself and my wife, we own the apartment half each, right? So 50% she owns, 50% I own. Chapter number 2 are rights and restrictions on the property. Let's have a closer look. You already see that underlined stuff has been deleted, which means it is untrue or not true anymore. But the ones which is still true, not underlined, is a right of someone else on this particular plot. Now, what does this mean? In this case, it's a Grunddienstbarkeit für Geh- und Fahrrecht, which means that other owners of the same plot right? So everybody who's in the homeowners association along with me in that particular building, they are allowed to walk and drive on the plot, right? So I can't sue anybody for not walking on my plot as long as he's the owner of that plot, or he owns a share of that plot, right? This is mentioned here. There are other rights of others which may be entered here. Very typical is going to be water pipelines, electricity lines, stuff like the sewage, water pipelines, etc. Those you need to have on your plot if mentioned here, and the company which owns that right to maintain those pipes are also allowed to dig a hole, maintain the pipe, close the hole again as if nothing happened. So these rights will be mentioned here as well, right? Again, some things have been changed and some things have been deleted and are untrue right now. I'll come to this one later. I already mentioned we either underline a land register, which means deleted, or in this case crossed out, but everything is still visible so that you know, I know, everybody who has access to this knows what is true right now and what was true initially. Chapter 3 has all land charges and collaterals, and you'll see, let me take my own case here. You'll see that I took a loan of, I redacted something here, I took a loan of 45,000 euros and gave this particular property as a collateral to a bank. In this case, it is Sparkasse Leverkusen, and I did that on 1st of October 2019. At a notary, I got a notarized purchase agreement copy. In this case, again, it's a unique identifier, Urkundenrollennummer something something in 2019 at the notary XYZ, and this has been put in on 18th of November 2019, right? Does not mean that I paid 45,000 euros for this property. This only means that I took a loan and gave this particular property as a collateral to the bank worth 45K, right? Now, there have been other changes here in Chapter 3. You see stuff like, what do I see here? The previous owner took a loan of 191K. The owner before that gave the property as a collateral for 220K, right? So there are always, in this case, it's decreasing in nature. That might be a good or bad sign. You don't know that because you do not know the purchase price of. You can't deduct the purchase price of the property based on these values. This just means it's been given as a collateral to the bank for this money, right? For 191K, they might have financed it for 100%. They might have financed only 50%. They might have only financed 10%. You can't deduct that from this value, right? Let's have a closer look at one or two things which I just skipped. The first one, you already know that I bought the property, or I signed the purchase agreement on 1st of October 2019. What happened after that? 2 or 3 things happened at the same time. One is the land charge was entered here based on that notarized purchase agreement. This is what you see right now here. What also happened is I was mentioned as the next owner, also based on the same document, which was on 1st of October 2019, right? Here you see the notarized copy date as well as the unique identifier for that. We were mentioned, so my wife and myself were mentioned as the next owner. Eigentums, oh, there you go. Oh, sorry. Eigentumsübertragungsvormerkung, which means this is just blocking the land register for us so that this property cannot be sold to somebody else just after we signed this, right? So because at any point in time, if you buy or sell a property, the notary will check at the date of notarization whether this property has been blocked for somebody else. In this case, this property was blocked for us, for my wife and myself. And because at some point in time we paid the money to the seller, the notary confirmed this to the courthouse. The courthouse said, well, that's fine. Now you're not the next owner of the property. You are going to be the current owner of the property. That's why our names are in chapter number 1 now, right? And that also has been notarized on this date, 1st of October. And the entry here has been done on 9th of January 2020, which is a long time. 3 months, 3.5 months is a long time for that to be passed on. All right, so what we covered was the cover page. We covered the inventory page with important data for you on what you really own and what you're really buying. We also covered all 3 chapters. Chapter number 1, the owner information. You can see who owned the property before you, and also see, is the guy who's selling it to you really the one who you're discussing with. We also saw chapter number 2 on rights and restrictions. What kind of rights do others have on your plot? This may be other owners in your building. This also might be companies who are maintaining power lines, electricity lines, etc. And you'll also see, we also spoke about chapter number 3, which are land charge and collaterals, right?